All right, guys, welcome back to Isaac Crypto. Welcome. Bitcoin has taken a massive dump. On the backdrop of my last video, we were talking about the trades I was in. Now, just to give a bit of context of the trades I was in, I was actually in spot from $86,000, which I closed when we lost the level at $82,000. Now, what I was speaking about was very important in the last video, which is saying the hedge short and the importance of the hedge short, because what that does is it stops me from losing a bunch of money. Now, that hedge short is in nearly 20% profit, okay? Now, essentially what that did, it canceled out the losses that I occurred through taking a little bit of a loss, 4 or 5% loss on that spot holding there. This is what we call hedging. It's very important if you don't get your entire thesis correct on the market, okay? Now, obviously, we've broken some very, very key support, and I'll get right into that in a second. But if you've been following along, you're probably curious what has happened. Now, as I said, yeah, in terms of monetarily, I'm pretty much just back to where I was as in terms of where I took the trade here. So that's why it's important, because these events are going to take place where you're going to have events that completely go against what you thought. Not that it completely went against what I thought, but the support was definitely not strong. We only got a 5% bounce from one of the key levels I was looking at. So now we're going to be figuring out what's going to happen next. It's also in the backdrop of the fact that we've had a lot of different geopolitical events take place. We've also got a bunch of things on X you can go look at, which I'm not going to say on here, which have probably contributed to the market acting a little bit suspicious. Also, on the backdrop of gold and silver, in fact, we can pull them up right now. We're seeing gold pull back far out. Gold pulled back around 40% in the matter of like 2 days. That's an unheard of amount. Okay, so yeah, just to clear things off, still in that short trade right now. I'm not going to be closing that just yet, and I'm going to get into exactly the levels I'm looking at going forward, because if anything, it'd be looking for a long, but I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. Okay. So right off the get-go, let's just look at what levels have been destroyed, because a few have. This monthly level was the level I was looking at as the level of invalidation, which is why I closed my position, because this level has significance from way back here. Let me just move that over there. So this level has significance from way back. And if we lost that, I was very suspicious that we were going to drop lower, and which is what we've done. So if anything, I'm going to be removing that, and because that's now irrelevant. Now, looking at a weekly, we can see we've crushed through the weekly. Now, the daily is a very similar picture, crushed through that. We can also refresh a bunch of these levels, because these are the levels that have been used, so we don't need to go back to them, okay? That's just the importance of that. Another thing, guys, remember I was talking about how the volume-weighted averages are going to be very, very strong level of support and resistance. What do you know? Support, resistance going down. We just couldn't climb above, and we just saw that cascade down. So obviously, like I say, I'm a level-to-level trader. I wait for the levels to be hit that I'm looking at. So, as we can see here, we definitely hit those levels and went down. And obviously, I wasn't a trade, and I ended up getting break even on that. That's why it's important to have the hedge position, which is what I'm doing right now. Now, trend lines. Wow, I didn't even see that. You can see that we had the trend line touch and also the reversal there. Major resistances, that was that one that we hit, which I called out live in the time. That was where the short trade was taken. We've got the local VWAP, times very well with that upward trend there. We can take that away. I'm just sort of clearing out what we don't need now. Yeah. Cool. That was that support that was found. And then I think this one is the resistance here. That was resistance, which we hit into. So we can take that out. That's all good. Let's get fresh. Let's mark what we're looking at right now. So monthly, we don't have any levels. On the weekly, we do have one at the top. On the daily, we've got a level coming in at around 89,200. So that's a daily 89,200. So that's okay. We can see that that's pulling off right there. Now, the one I'm very, 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 very keen on, let's have a look at where the volume is residing from this previous zone. We can see that, there isn't much now at this point. There's not much volume whatsoever. Really, what I'm looking at is this next little level here, and I'm going to mark this as a key level. It can be white. This level can be a white level. Let's go here. Key level, okay? So we got the key level, and the reason this is a key level is because this right here is a liquidity buildup. So we've got a bit of a liquidity buildup. You can see here we took out these lows, so those lows are free. But it's really going to be the lows here and the lows right here. So if we're going to take out these lows again, then we're probably going to take out 73,000. That being said, the market does like to tease everyone a little bit, so it might chop and before it take everything down. But we're this far now, and from what I saw in the liquidity data from Kingfisher, it is looking a little bit weighted each way. So there is liquidity on the downside. However, there is a very, very large amount to the upside. Now, there's a lot of shorts that are entered, just like my short, right? So there's a lot of power once we find our bottom, wherever it is, whether it's here. On a timing perspective, you can see bottoms usually form around here. You got one here, one here, one here. One could say here. You know, we're sort of in that interval where a bottom should be coming, right? Whether that bottom is here or what else do we got? Let's have a look down here, because that's already sizable push down. If we're looking at on a nominal perspective, we're already down 40%. So pretty big. The next ranges we'd be looking at are going to be down these zones here at $70,000. We've also got $60,000, so $70,000 and $60,000, which we're looking at. So, but like I said, I'm not going to probably, you know what, I'm going to mark them now because the market's moving quick. So in terms of support, really, I'm looking to be buying up. And I'm just keeping it transparent, guys. This whole range, I'm break even because obviously I was long and then now I'm hedged up. I could have taken profits on those spot trades, but I thought we wouldn't be dropping like this, which we have. And any trader who says they know exactly what's going on is completely lying. They just simply can't. All the best traders I know always admit when they're wrong, and you pivot. And that's why the stance is level to level. There's two types of trading. There's going to be long-term investing, which is just DCAing into the market and holding for the foreseeable future, right? Which is very valuable, and actually I advise everyone does that. And then there's going to be the day trading, the swing trading. That's the stuff I'm looking at right now. I'm not doing scalp trades. I'm also doing swing trades. So marking those levels is important. But when I do them, I'm like I said, the frequency of my trades is quite small. Because when you really look at it, we're coming in at like levels here, and then maybe one down here. So in terms of frequency, we're talking 21 days, so months even. And the less trades, the better, and that's how I truly think. Anyway, one of the levels is going to be down here, and then we've got honestly, this whole zone's a large cluster, but obviously the specifics, we'll get into that when we get there. And what I mean by specifics is, okay, what's the liquidity doing? What's the order flow doing? What's the market structure doing? That's going to be very important. Now, if we look at it from this perspective, what we've seen, so we had this massive cascade. Now, one of the important things to do is see where the volume is residing on this cascade down. All right, what I can already tell you is we're going to have a volume weighted pull that's going to coincide pretty nicely. So we got one up there, and then we've got one from up here. Okay, what I can definitely see happening is, let's say we come and form a bottom around this point. I can see this dropping down, tying in very nicely with this, and being another point of going to be a resistance level. So that's already on my radar already. Now, in my last few videos, I'm pretty sure I was charting out that exact same sort of stuff here. Yeah, so this was a red zone here, right? Which I think I was speaking about it being as like level to short. Yeah, so come up to there. That was what was that? Around 89,000. So we came in around, what do we hit? Yeah, honestly, around 89,000, and we fell from there. So that's the importance of these levels. They're very, very important. Obviously, the level of resistance was not as much as I expected, but that was what takes place in the market because we can't control it. But yeah, I'm seeing $82,000 become a very good region for a take profit on the long trade once I get in. I'm just really waiting for that confirmation. The confirmation is going to be once we take out a bit more liquidity. If not, then the order flow, which I don't have right now, but I'll consolidate and check soon. But really good thing that's happened so far is we've taken out that low, okay? And then we're coming into another low, which we want to see taken out. And then we're coming into extremely strong support. Now, one thing I want to check, which is going to be very, very valuable, is going to be, let's have a look here. We're going to put on the momentum metrics here. So on the weekly, we can see that this is very good. This is very, very good for a bullish divergence. So what we can see is we're forming a lower low in the price. However, we put a higher high in the market cipher. Now, momentum metric, if you want to call it like that. What this is telling is the fact that we're probably, when we find our footing, we're probably going to bounce up sizably. Okay, at least I think that would take the place because we have, even if we don't bounce sizably, we're going to have a bounce, just like we had a bounce up here. Now, in total, this push up was around a 20%. So 20%, that's a big level to take a trade in, right? So I'll be looking to take a long when we get into those key zones. taking a short now, too dangerous. That's why my short trades right now, which obviously this one is now in 20% profit. That's why it's the importance of hedging, which I've been speaking about, okay? Obviously my expectations of the market's done has been different to what's actually happened, but that's why having it all planned out is very important, level to level. So if anything, that's what I have to say. I'm expecting price to bottom out somewhere within this region. Let's box it up somewhere around here. Worst case, 56. 56 straight away now. Come on, that's crazy. That's crazy because that's going to be a 50% drop in 140 days. Come on, we still need some time here. So before I don't expect that to happen. So I think footing will take place and we'll probably go up again. As for the shorts, yeah, if you haven't taken a short already, then I would not be taking shorts right at this point. Okay, I'm just keeping honest with you. If anything, I'm looking for longs. If anything, spot DCA buys are good. Other than that, guys, have a great day. If you want to trade and join up for when I take the long, sign up to all the exchange links down below. There's also a new one added in there. Check it out. Yeah. Support the channel, guys. Help us get to 1,100 subscribers. That'd be great. And yeah. You want to watch macro, watch that. If you want to watch the moon show, watch that over here. Okay. Without further ado, guys, have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next update. For now, catch you later. Bye.